I feel like I really need to make this video because some of you guys are doing way too much and it's blocking you from getting what you want. So let me reason with you. What you want wants you. Don't overcomplicate it. There's no point in worrying because what's worrying gonna do? Is worrying going to solve your problems? If you try to solve your problems by worrying, that's coming from a place of fear. Is that the most effective way you can go about it? If anything, all worrying will do is just add more stress to your plate. And you might reason back to me and say, but Judy, hey, isn't stress and fear what drives us to work hard towards our goals? And yes, stress and fear, that is a function that it can serve. And yes, you do hear about people in the media who are able to use that fear as fuel to drive them towards their goals. You hear of these rags to riches stories in the tabloids of people coming from extremely impoverished conditions where they were riddled by fear and they were able to transmute that. And I think it's incredibly powerful when you are able to transmute that, actually use that fear in a constructive way. But for a lot of people, worry and self-induced stress, that's not only detrimental to your wellness, but it's also holding you back, slowing you down from getting what you want. Think about it. What is the first thing that you want to do whenever you feel stress? What is that first impulse? It's to relieve that stress. And so you might resort to games, you might resort to watching Netflix, you might resort to an abundance of different coping mechanisms or distractions that you might deploy. And what that is doing, it's taking actionable time away from achieving your goals. I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you're starting here and you have this big goal that you want to achieve. And let's say it's to achieve this really high grade on this exam that you have coming up. But you're at this point where you haven't studied much all semester and you're kind of feeling overwhelmed starting from the beginning. And because of all this overwhelm and stress that you have, you might immediately, want to resort to playing games first to relieve that stress. Or you might even get to your computer desk and you see, oh my God, your computer desk is so messy. I gotta clean this up before I start studying. And so you do that. And then afterwards you go grab a meal because you feel hungry after all that cleaning. And what it's doing is it's creating all this distance from working towards what you want instead of you just taking that step and moving towards what you want. This happened to me so many times when I was a student. When I was in uni, when I was in high school, I was a pretty big procrastinator, not gonna lie. I would tell myself that I just had too much going on to be able to study weeks in advance. But if I was to be real with myself, I had filled up a lot of time just with distractions. But I started to become more conscious of why I procrastinated in relation to fear. And I realized this. I realized that all fear is rooted in anticipation of the future. When you're doubting yourself, when you feel anxiety, you're thinking about the future. You're thinking about something that is either just about to happen or 99% of the time, you might be playing scenarios in your head that might not even play out in your reality. Do you think that's an efficient use of your time and energy to be spending ruminating on these fear-based thoughts? I don't think so. A much better use of your time and energy would be spending time planning actionable steps towards your goals. And on the subject of planning, I was listening to Brian Tracy the other day. He's a motivational speaker, and he mentioned how for every 1 minute you spend planning, you save 10 minutes in execution. And I have no clue where he got that statistic from, but it makes a lot of sense to me because when you're planning ahead of time, you're not fumbling around as much when it comes to the actual execution of doing the thing. And I thought of it in terms of groceries. So if you have a grocery list of items that you need to grab, you're not going to go through the entire supermarket aisle by aisle to figure out what you need to get for your groceries. You're just going to go directly to each aisle based on the items in your list. And that's going to save you a lot of time. Now, I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions just so you can digest what we talked about in the last few minutes. I like to ask you guys questions because it helps you understand yourself a lot better when you're coming up with your own answers. So the first question is, what do you spend the most time worrying about? And following up from that, how can you be constructive in regards to the thing that you're worrying about? When we're in our heads worrying, we may miss out on opportunities that are right in front of us. I know for myself, the times when I was presented with the most opportunities was when I was present. When I'm present, I'm not thinking about the past. I'm not thinking about the future. I'm in the very moment. And in this very moment, Are you with me? Are you even listening to what I'm saying? Because I'm going to tell you in a bit how you can be constructive towards what you want. Okay, so how can you be constructive towards what you want? Well, first of all, you need to know what you want, so figure that out first. If you don't know what you want, then let your experiences be your teacher. Because how do you know what you don't want? It's because you've been through that experience and you realize that you don't want to repeat that situation again. You might want to consider what the opposite of what you don't want is. A couple prompts just for you to roll some ideas off is you might want to think about what is going to bring the most significant change in your life, or the things that you feel are missing in your life, or the things that you feel that you're most afraid of that you really want to overcome. And this should give you some really good starting points to brainstorm what it is that you want. And once you figure that out, you want to take actionable steps towards what you want. To really just break it down, because the only one that's holding you back, if there's no other parties involved in what you want, is yourself. And there's so much potential within you that you haven't even realized yet. Let's say you have big dreams. The bigger the dreams, the more far-fetched they may seem. So break it down. Break it down into smaller goals. Set due dates for each of these smaller goals. This way, it won't seem as far-fetched as this big overarching goal. And then as you accomplish each of these smaller goals, count them. Use this metric as fulfillment, and you're just gonna feel so much more fulfilled in the process. I've worked in tech sales for 5 years, and there were some deals that took 3 to 4 quarters to close, some that even took a little over a year, and with no guarantee that they would even close. So how I got through that was I would break down these steps in these like large deal cycles into smaller steps, and with each interaction that I would have with this potential customer, I would acknowledge the positive interactions in each. That was how I was able to keep my sanity. But enough about me. Another thing that will help you get closer towards what you want is to become more conscious of the detrimental effects of worrying. The more conscious you are of this, the more you're going to negatively feel when you do start to worry. And it's not going to feel good. It's going to feel shitty. But that's exactly what we want. That's going to be the mind trick that you need to have this adverse effect that whenever you start worrying, like, oh, it feels so terrible that I don't want to keep worrying. Like, I know it's not good for me. And you realize that when you have this negative feeling, it just shows you that there's something else that you can better spend your time and energy on. So allow this negative feedback to teach you something. And so how do you stop worrying? Well, sorry to break it to you, but you're never going to be able to stop worrying entirely. Science hasn't quite made the technological advancements where they can turn off the mind. But what is important is that you don't self-induce, you don't add fuel to the fire, you don't add to these thoughts of doubt and worry. That's the important thing. And when you do have a doubt that crosses your mind, reassure yourself. So tell your mind, thank you. Thank you, mind, for trying to protect me. I know that you're just trying to keep me safe, but I have these big goals that I want to accomplish, and I know I can do it. So watch me make you proud. And what you want to do after is let go of any limiting beliefs that you have, let go of any remaining self-doubt, and reframe those beliefs to ones that will serve you. If you feel delusional for going after your goals, maybe your goals are delusional. Maybe they aren't possible in this 3D reality, but maybe you have a conflicting limiting belief that makes it feel that this goal is unachievable, and hence you feel delusional for wanting so. Discern which of the two it is. If it's the latter, then you know what you need to do. You need to let go of that limiting belief and reframe it. Your beliefs are so powerful that they influence how you feel when you do something, and they also influence the thoughts that form in your mind. Like, if you believe that something is so far-fetched for you to achieve, do you think you're going to put work towards it? Probably not, if you have this belief that putting in work would be pointless anyways. And just like that, so many things end before they even begin. So how can we go about this? The next time you have this goal that you want to pursue, this dream, ask yourself how instead of immediately shutting it down. How can I achieve this? What steps do I need to take in order to achieve it? And visualize yourself. Okay, visualize yourself achieving that goal. How would it feel if you were to achieve that goal? And get used to that feeling. Top athletes, they use this visualization technique. And do you think they become top athletes in not believing in themselves? No, they have to believe in themselves. They have to believe in the direction that they're heading towards in order to become the best at what they do. And if you can't visualize yourself at the end goal, visualize yourself taking that first step, and then visualize yourself taking the step after and the step afterwards and onwards. I'm rooting for you. Sometimes you might find yourself so driven to succeed that you overwork yourself, that you run through all these steps to achieve what you want, just to find yourself exhausted, burnt out. And at times like that, be in tune with your own needs, relax as you need, take breaks. What you want already wants you. There's no need to rush. And that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that it inspires you to take actionable steps towards your goals. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, share this with others, subscribe if you haven't already, and I value what you guys have to say, so please continue the discussion down in the comments below, and I'm gonna exit with my usual outro. So I love you guys. Until next time, peace.